call this public hearing to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Sheldon.
Here.
Brackman. Kennedy.
Here.
Reynolds.
Present.
Faulkner.
Here.
Bonfiglio.
Here.
DeVersa.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
And President Wilson.
Here. Thank you. Clerk, please read the public notice.
Please take notice that pursuant to section C-39E of the Charter of the City of Jamestown, New York, the City Council's Budget and Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2025 is available for public inspection in the office of the City Clerk, 200 East 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., legal holidays accepted. At the Prendergast Library, 509 Cherry Street, Jamestown, New York, and on the city's website at www.jamestownny.gov/budget. A summary of the City Council's Budget and Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2025 is as follows. Expenditures, total of $43,315,323. Revenues, a total of $43,315,323. Please take further notice that the City Council will hold a public hearing on Monday, November 18th, 2024 at 6 o'clock p.m. in the City Council Chambers, 2nd floor, Municipal Building, 200 East 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York, on the City Council's Budget and Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2025.
Thank you. This time I'll ask if there's anyone here wishing to address the public hearing. If you'd like to address the public hearing, please step up to one of the microphones, give your name and address, and limit your remarks to 5 minutes.
Doug Champ, 225 Bowling Street. In a public hearing, it's not limited in time. I don't know of any public hearing that has over 5 minutes. It's not a city council work session. So, unless you can verify that, I might be going longer than 5 minutes.
So I
It's in
understand.
the Nikon cancel.
It's in the handbook, it's in past practice.
Uh-oh. Need a radio guy to do it. Yeah.
And he's been around a long time. So, regarding this, the requirements of the public hearing notice have been very limited. In other words, in the City of Jamestown announcement, it doesn't even appear on the so-called webpage acknowledging where public hearings should appear. It's not on there. It says all public hearings should have that notification. It's not even on the city's calendar, and the monthly calendar doesn't show up there. The only place it shows up is the public hearing announcement in the Post Journal or down in the city clerk's office, because you can't find it on your webpage. It's not there.
It's not my webpage, it's the administration's webpage. We don't.
Well, what I'm saying is, you want people to participate in government, then you should acknowledge the fact that there might be a good reason to make sure that this information is acknowledged better than it is. Okay, enough said about that. Regarding some issues associated with following the city's charter, and this is your charter, I've gone over this before, and unfortunately, the city's not following its own charter. And if you want to look at C-39C, the budgetary process, it actually acknowledges the fact, and we do not have a strategic planning commission, but it does reference that it's important that that organization be part of the budgetary process. So it hadn't happened in the prior administration, and it hasn't happened since, so I would recommend that the strategic planning commission be initiated again. But what does exist is the Jamestown Planning Commission. And the Jamestown Planning Commission has to be participatory with the development of a capital budget improvement program. It's right in your charter. Read it. And according to what I understand from the Planning Commission, none of this has happened. They haven't entertained any commentary. They haven't been involved in any discussion at all on the capital improvement program in the city of Jamestown. So you're not following your own charter. And that I find unnecessary under that situation of trying to make it clear on how community citizens participate in the development of the budget. Now, y'all can go numb about that, but that's within your charter. You either follow your charter or you don't follow your charter. So I ask your city council, are you following your charter? Yes? No?
We've done it this way every year.
No, it's not, if it's in your charter and you're not following it, you should acknowledge why you're not following.
If there's no strategic planning commission.
There is a planning commission, right? You have a planning commission.
If you'd like to speak on the budget, please speak on the budget.
I am as part of the budgetary process. In addition to that, how did we get here? The city of Jamestown in 2022 got $28.1 million to be spent out. And only now do we realize that not only was that money, I guess, trying to be accomplished on various forms and fashions, but now we're faced with a projected, or at least a discussed, tax increase of almost 8%. So how did we get here? The administration blames it on the prior administration, but yet the finance committee was totally involved, according to the memorandum from Joe Bolito, in understanding what the crises were identified pre-2024. So there's a lot of blame to go around as to why we're here now. And the lack of knowledge and commitment on the part of the finance committee to actually flush out these discrepancies, I think, puts us in a situation like who is responsible. Okay, now we get to something I want to suggest. Because without innovation, you have no integration. The city of Jamestown spends $500,000 on street lighting and $290,000 projected on storm drains. The irony behind that is the taxpayers are the only ones that are paying for those two aspects of your budget. I've researched this, and the street lighting can be put on ratepayers' bills. In other words, you spread the costs associated with this across the whole community that has a meter. It can be done by meter totals, it can be done some other ways. But the point is this, that you could remove next year immediately from the taxes $500,000 from street lighting. And if anybody wants to debate that why we can't do that, when I know it can be done, let's have that discussion. The same thing with storm drains, $290,000. That is a utility. And anybody says it's not a utility, let's find out why it's not a utility. So the point is that these two items, almost $800,000, could be taken off the tax rate and spread out with all the user base. So the not-for-profits, the little lady that owns a house, the commercial building, they all benefit from the Jamestown street lighting program. So why shouldn't they be actually paying for it? Same way with the storm drains. That's the same thing. The only people that pay for it are the people that pay taxes. Now, I think that's unequitable. And yes, that can be changed. Not for this year, but it can be changed. So those are two ideas that I want to present because I'm looking for this city council to come up with innovations. It can't be just cut, cut, cut. Because what happens with the American Rescue Plan money, by the way, which are going to gear toward balancing budget, and I have a problem with that because that's not what it was set up for. And if this city doesn't think there's going to be accountability, sure, the American Rescue Plan's auditors are not in play now, but you forget there's a new administration coming. So Donald Trump and that group might decide that maybe we ought to kind of examine where Joe Biden's money went. So they might want to say, let's type audit and see how well it was spent. Possibility. So you'll be looking at this in 2026 as to what about the accountability of that. So all of these things reflect on the development of the budget. And I want to hear at some point in time when your amendments, by the way, your amendments, pre-filed amendments, the amendments are supposed to be in play now, whether you know about amendments, we're going to have more amendments. That's a key part of citizens to understand why an amendment is generated. So the aspect of this whole process of public hearing and citizens involvement and whatever you call it, you guys are citizens too. So I think it could be done much better. So I've given you two ideas, there's more ideas, and I hope you will engender new ideas rather than say we're going to cut here, we're going to cut there. But what happens in 2026? You spend the American Rescue Plan balance money down, where's that revenue gonna come from then? So one-time induction of funds into that general situation. And then what happens when you do, if you don't raise taxes, where's that other revenue gonna come from in the future? Because once you raise taxes, it's pretty hard to decrease them unless you get new revenue sources. And the other question I have is this. The American Rescue Plan was supposed to increase economic development. The accountability, job creation, new investments in buildings, construction, equipment. Where is the end results on this? You're gonna have accountability to say how much this money you actually leveraged for this investment? Because if it's not enlisting tax increased value, the money was not spent other than maintaining the operational entity of the city of Jamestown.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? I'll ask a second time or third time before I adjourn. Anybody else want?
I'd just like to make a point that on the home page of the city's website, under public hearing and legal notices, there's a clear and factual statement that says notices for upcoming public hearings will be posted to this page in the legal notices of the Post Journal and will also be posted in the clerk's office of the municipal building. On top of the local radio media stations who have announced it, and I've heard it throughout the day. So just to make that point, I don't know where you didn't see it, but it's right on the front page.
Did you go to the website that it talks about public hearing notices?
No, I just want to your point that it wasn't on the
My
website.
point was it's not on that notification. It's not on that site.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Guys here?
I know it's hard, but you should do it.
Seeing none, I'll call this hearing adjourned.